player that's really stood out to me so far this season, making a leap, is Scottie Barnes of the Toronto Raptors. He had a tough
He
sophomore
was rookie
season.
of the year. What
He had
rookie?
it.
What leap is he doing?
He had a very tough sophomore season in which he may have looked worse than he did in his rookie season. So,
He
obviously,
was rookie of the year, and now he's making a leap.
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this: if Ben Simmons comes out and starts shooting logo threes every game, is he making a leap? He was an all-star before.
What is this, like year 8?
Yeah. Is he making a leap in year 8?
Mo, like, no, that's not a leap. You're like, what took you so long? I want to ask him, what took you so long? Like, here's a guy at his size. He's got to be one of the fastest guys in the league.
You're talking about Ben Simmons here, not Scottie
Ben
Barnes.
Simmons. Yeah, I'm talking about Ben Simmons. If I remember correctly, he was an all defensive player, right? He's got to be first or second team, all defensive player. He's been he's been an all-star, 2 or 3 times by now.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendous passer, defender, plays in the lanes, can defend multiple positions. Well, Mo, it's only natural that you continue to expand your game, right? You either get better or you get worse, but you never stay the same. So my question to him is, from his perspective, okay, how are you going to grow your game? Like, Mo, every year, believe it or not, Mo, the defense is all the offense is always ahead, right? Because we don't know what the offense is going to do. Mm-hmm. However, Mo, let me tell you something. These coaches are so unbelievable. They spend all summer just scouting teams, their tendencies, players, their tendencies. And Mo, once they see a tendency and they know you don't make a change, guess what happens, Mo? It gets passed around the league. So Ben Simmons, as great as you came into this league, because he was unbelievable. He's still an unbelievable talent. However, the defense now has caught up with him, and he hasn't made an adjustment. Mo, he hasn't made an adjustment. So my question to him would be, what are you doing? This is what the NBA is all about.
So back to Scottie Barnes. He's now in his 3rd year. His handle's improved a lot. He's shooting the 3 very comfortably. He's looking like he's now aware of his strength and what he's able to do physically against smaller defenders. Are you still saying the same thing about him? Or
you know what? I'm gonna say this about. I'm going to say this. What I see.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes you get better by subtraction. I think the subtraction of Fred VanVleet was good for Scottie Barnes. That's my.
He has the ball in his hands a lot more now.
Yes, no, that's what I see. Okay, now, no disrespect to Fred VanVleet, became an all-star, was an all-star. He won a championship. A really, really, really good player. Fred VanVleet, as you know, Mo, you heard me say that he's one of my favorite players. However, Scottie Barnes, he's a player that needs the ball in his hands. That's just, it is what it is. Like, sometime, Mo, you got to make a decision. That was a tough decision because Fred VanVleet is a really good player. However, if Scottie Barnes was going to continue to add to his game, you're going to have to give him the ball. Just like, Scottie Barnes reminds me of a young Scottie Pippen. At some point, you got to put the ball in his hands. And I think it's his time. And he's responded. So, not to take away anything from Fred. However, I think that's been the biggest change for Scottie Barnes this year, is that he actually is playing. They're playing through him, and he's being allowed to make decisions earlier in the shot clock. A lot of times, when you are receiving the ball on the second pass, you feel you have to do something. Now, I think he's not fighting to get the ball. And that's what it looks like to me, especially early in the season. So he's playing as the number one or the primary ball handler instead of being the secondary ball handler. And that's a big difference. It may not seem like a big difference, but that's a big difference. And I think Scottie Barnes has shown thus far that he can handle the responsibility of being a primary ball handler. So it's been a great start for him, and I think that's been the big difference thus far.
I think Schroeder was a great pickup for them as well. You know, the defensive pressure that he brings, picking guys up full court. And
Schroeder, yes. Schroeder, I agree with that too, Mo, because he plays fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I learned this from Jerry West. And we were scouting, and Mo, as you know, I love, and our listeners know, I love scouting. Like, that's one of my favorite things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just go to a game and then you say, oh God, what would I do with this player? And you try to visualize how you put all these pieces together. And I remember sitting there and Jerry kept saying, man, this guy's a Clydesdale. This guy's a thoroughbred. This guy's a quarter horse.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So it was like 4 games. We were watching like 4 games. So after about the second game, I was like, Jerry, what's a Clydesdale? What's a quarter horse? Like, what are you talking about? He was like, okay, let me tell you. You know, talk to Jerry. He said, let me tell you something, okay? When you're scouting, when you learn how to scout, young man, you got to put the pieces together. You know, if you're going to build a big team and you're going to have a team full of Clydesdales and big horses, then you put together the big horses. But you don't start mixing the quarter horses with the Clydesdales, with the thoroughbreds. And what I mean by that is everyone's playing at their own speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fred VanVleet plays the game at a different speed than Schroeder. Schroeder and Scottie Barnes probably play and they match together their speed. Okay. Luka Doncic and Fred VanVleet probably plays at a similar speed, if that makes sense, as you're watching the game. You follow what I'm saying?
Luka and Jokic play at the same speed, similar to my speed.
Yes. Jokic, and you know what's great about Jamal Murray is that Jamal Murray can play at a slow speed, but he can also play at a fast speed.
Yeah.
Like that's a combination. That's a gift. You know, there's some players who have to just play at a fast pace.
De'Aaron Fox.
Yes. De'Aaron Fox, you know what? And what was nice to watch him last year, and I know he's hurt now, is you start to see him be able to score in the half court. Yeah. You're saying, oh, wow, he's picking.
He had to, because Sabonis does not play at a high speed either. So he's got to add that to his game.
Yes. So you're starting to see. So what I learned in that scouting experience was you start watching for the speed and pace of the team. Schroeder plays very fast. He plays fast. He plays at a pace. He pushes the pace. He plays downhill. And what he does, in my opinion, he does exceptionally well as a guard, as a lead guard, is he pushes the ball ahead. Because that to me that's a real skill. And I think Scottie Barnes benefits from that. I think Siakam benefits from that. The team OG, I think they all benefit from that because they play much faster. When you watch them this year, if you're comparing, it's not to say one is better or worse. It's just that when you see athletes who are all similar in the way they play, okay, then you begin to build a culture. You begin to have an identity. And that, to me, Mo, is the art of like one of the things that you try to look for with a team. So that was one of my lessons that I learned from that day. And I always look for similar athletes who play together. You know, like Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is an interesting athlete because he's a good athlete, a really good athlete, but he doesn't play fast.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But Jaylen
Brown
plays quicker.
And Jaylen Brown struggles more in the half court than Jason Tatum because you know what I'm saying? But I think Jaylen Brown is probably playing as fast as I've ever seen him play in his career this year. Jason Tatum, what you would hope with him is you want to take away all of the turnovers that drove you crazy in the half court, because he likes to play in the open court more so than half court. So, you try to strike this balance, and you try to find players who can match that playoff basketball, because the game definitely slows down. So, but it's one of the things you look for as you're scouting and you're learning to scout.